And so it be. Greetings, old friends. I am Lemuaya of tachyonic service. Come in to this moment, into this place, as the fulfillment of an agreement that was made a long, long time ago. First, let me say it is an honor to be here. Secondly, I would like to add that it is indeed a great pleasure to be here as well. When agreements are made across time and across space, across the veritable essence of life itself, it is always beautiful to see when these things indeed may come full circle. I am here for several reasons, one of which is to teach, but the other one is to stabilize. Stabilize what, one might say. Let me repeat the non-recorded words of the energy of Solaris that spoke to you just a little while ago. The creation of the inner portal, which you have done just several hours ago, needs stability. You are indeed, especially those sitting here, you are indeed the gate builders and the portal builders, but you have been out of practice for several generations at least. And that is why I am here to honor the agreement of lending my stability to what you have just created. For you see, the portal that you have made, each of you, is not one that can fade in and out of existence. At least that is not the point. You wanted to create a stable paradigm of non-definition for yourselves, and that is indeed what I am here to bring you. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the creation of the inner portal. And to do that, I must teach you about history. I must teach you about Lemuria, which has been, blessings, and will always continue to be my home. Lemuria had, as you know probably, two periods in time, in your timeline, in your time frame. One, it was a fluid state. The second one was anything but fluid. It was a movement towards the world that you see for yourselves here today. A world of matter, a world of fixed objects, your body being one of those objects, by the way. But I want to start at the time of fluidity. The reason why I want to talk about these things now in this group here specifically, although this message is going to be a part of a larger series, reaching a larger audience as well, is that you worked with me, all of you. Not directly. There was, let's say, a go-between, an interface, an intermediate, that being my keeper, there. But as Solaris has informed you, all of you sat in the old Lemurian Council. There is a difference between the old Lemurian Council, the way it used to be, and what is happening now with the creation of the new Lemuria. These are not the same council beings, the same council creations that I am talking about. I want to begin, however, with the old one. As you have split yourselves up in several groups today, this was a very natural process, to say the least. Why? Because these were the bodies from which you governed the council. If these words do not immediately strike home at the beginning, then take the time to feel them. Because the things I am talking about now are indeed very ancient and will take some time to resurface inside of yourself. The council, known as the Old Lemuria, or at the time Lemuria, obviously, 7 ruling bodies, each governing a certain vibrational state of that which you knew as home, as the earth, as the people, as nature, everything that you have here today. Although back then, again, things started a little bit more fluid. So what were these bodies then within the council? Just for sake of clarity, when I say bodies, I do not mean a human physical body. I mean an entity, a governing entity consisting of 3 or more. Very simple. These bodies, these groups within the council, were groups governing or establishing the vibration of love, joy, freedom, awareness, beauty, and the 2 latest ones, additions that were placed onto the council near the end of Lemuria, when things got more stable, let's say, more fixed, were innocence and nonsense. Now, I am not going to say who was in charge of the nonsense, but she is sitting right next to me. Hello. It is always an honor. But we will talk about that group at the end of this conversation. Because it is actually a pouring together, a coming together of all of the other aspects. But let us begin at the beginning. First of all, I want you to know, it is you who created this council. It is you who chose that it would be divided the way it has been divided. So let's begin with the first group. And the group I'm going to talk of the first is beauty. And they are sitting behind me. Don't fly away now. The concept of beauty was one of the most important concepts in the whole of Lemurian society. Because beauty, you see, was the end result of creation. Much like it is today, or at least much like it should be today. Frankly put, if something is not going to turn out beautiful, it is not worth creating. Anything that is less than beautiful is something which is not believed in at the moment of creation. Do you understand this? If you do not believe in your own creation, then it cannot turn out beautiful. Because it is the way you perceive it that creates the beauty. The way the Creator perceives the creation creates the beauty or the linearity. This would mean then that linearity and beauty are opposites. Beauty cannot exist in linearity, because beauty is a state of perfection that does not have a beginning, a middle, or an end. Beauty then would be quite similar to the concept of infinity. Beauty can only be created on an archaic level. Do you understand this? Why? Because once beauty, or a thing of beauty, has been created, it actually runs back and forth through the timeline. It has always been there after it has been created, and even before it has been created. This means that an artist, or whomever, who creates something that is beautiful, actually makes it so that the thing that is created at one given point in time is a concept in the past, even before it was created. And people can touch this. People can feel it hanging in the air before it is brought into what you call reality. You see, that is why an art is a work of art. Because when you see it, you immediately recognize it, since it was already there before it was created. And that is the beauty of things. One of the most beautiful creations ever to have emerged from this universe is planet Earth. And as such, it was so that this planet has been conceptualized in part by, let's call it, the Council of Beauty. It is these people sitting back here that originally designed the concept of Earth. Now, you might feel that this is a little bit of an overstatement. But it isn't. When something is created, it does not just pour out of the Creator alone. They are a channel, a vessel through which something pours forth. This means, for instance, that this moment in time, right now, is not being created merely by the voice who is speaking, by the body who is sitting here, but it is being created by all of humanity, by the total consciousness, human consciousness, you see? Similar to the creation of Earth. It poured out of a certain group, but it came from far, far beyond planet Earth itself. That is something that you must always remember. I am not done talking about beauty, however. I said that the thing of beauty is an archaic experience. It has been said by your poets that the thing of beauty is a joy forever. And that is why, when we are done discussing the concept of beauty, we will turn to the concept of joy. Let us go on now. What does Earth and an observer consider beautiful at any given point in time? Two answers are possible here. The first answer would be, quite frankly put, that which others tell him or her is beautiful. And that is, of course, the wrong way, or the linear way, rather, to look at things. Something which is beautiful is instantly recognized by all as being whole. So something which is beautiful is literally wholesome. A while ago, Solaris, my great dear friend, has spoken about new energy or free energy numerology. And the first number to surface was the number 7, which in this vibrational state that you call free energy can be seen as wholeness. This means, my beloved, that the geometry of any creation that looks for beauty is based on 7. What does this mean? I'm going very slow here because I want you to understand these things, because they will become important as you step into your creations later on. Why? is a 7 needed for the geometry of a beautiful creation? Very simple. Because added to the concept of 7 is always the 8. And the 8 is the creator and the observer in itself. The 7 parts of which I speak exist within the heart of the creator. And these 7 parts I have already mentioned. It is the 7 groups that are making you up right now. These 7 items of consciousness, one could say, is basically the basis for the creation of beauty. Do you understand how simple geometry really is? When you look at geometry, you see lines, and you see curves, and you see what appears to be 3 and more dimensional shapes. But actually, when you are looking at things from the perspective of the heart, these shapes and curves and lines and angles turn into simple things like love or joy or freedom or whatever it might be. Find these 7 things within yourself and you will always create infinity. And infinity will always be beautiful. You are being given this information right now because after this message, when this is complete, the continuation of divinity will be given. And it is necessary that you know these things. The principle of beauty then is one of the most essential to exist within Lemurian society, within the Lemurian heart, be it the heart of a poet, an artist, a mother, or a warrior. Beauty was always at the heart of all things. And it is for this very fact, my beloved, that Lemuria still exists today. When you dare to consider yourself as a creator of beauty, you step literally into a field of infinity. And you leave the linear time frame, the linear box. Leaving the linear box, however, entails automatically that you must leave the mind. It is impossible to be infinite and to be mental at the same time, as you know. This also means that the mind cannot consider beauty, because the mind can only look at a thing, an object. Even concepts, that which the mind would call concepts, are basically linear, temporary, and are not conceptual at all. To understand the true nature of beauty, I must tell you now about the true nature of the conceptual paradigm. The conceptual paradigm basically is quite simply a paradigm of awareness. The conceptual paradigm once again works with the 7 principles that made up the Lemurian Council. I've just spoken of these things to you, and you will understand them very shortly, because in the coming days that you will spend here together, you will work with them. And to those who are not here right now, but who are listening to this message afterwards, we will speak more of them as well. So please, hold on. Beauty. I am not done speaking of this. You now know it is an archaic concept. It runs back and forth through time. You also know that it is a principle of awareness. You know it entails wholeness. And you know that it always comes in 7 varieties of geometry. 7 varieties of geometry, once experienced, however, turn into that which you would call magnetics. And as you have been told a very long time ago, the concept of magnetics is felt on this earth as love. So this would mean then that that which is called love, or which you are calling love on the planet, is not quite the love that we are talking about when we speak about universal love of oneness. The love actually that you are talking about when you feel this concept is consisting of all the other principles, including beauty, that I have opened this talk with. Know then that when you do allow yourself to feel this love, you must also make the conscious choice to let all these other things, these 6 other principles, flow out of you. Never forget, however, that you are always the 8th. The choice that people have between linearity and infinity is often based on a mistake. Mistake being that one would think that there is a beginning and an end. I have now told you that there are 7 principles in the Lemurian Council, but also 7 principles to beauty and creation. I've also told you that the observer, or the creator, is the 8th. The mistake many people make is to think that the creator initiates something. Action is very different from initiation. Do you understand this? Action, within the concept of action, lies the end result automatically, never the beginning of something. So a linear creation then, which cannot completely entail the concept of beauty, would have a beginning, would place the observer or the creator at the beginning of the process. And then you go from a concept of 8 to a concept of 9. 9, which always entails an ending. And that is why, when you take responsibility for the beginning of a creation, which is a mental process, because then you will think it comes from you and not from creatorhood in itself, which is beyond you, you create something on a temporal, linear level, and it will not be beauty. It might be beauty as is observed by reality, as you know it right now, but it will never stand the test of time, let alone the test of infinity. Knowing this, where then does creation begin? Where does beauty begin? Right there. The sunshine, the water, the air, the sky, the grass, the trees, the birds, all right there. Where does that begin? Simple answer, it begins nowhere. For it is beautiful. So it has always been, and shall always be. The trick to allowing your own creational power and your sense as a creator emerge from your human husk is to never look at beginnings, always at actions. You cannot be the beginning. For to be the beginning, is to be the end also. You understand this? Creation is infinite. You cannot create anything that hasn't already been conceptualized. For concepts are born in awareness, and awareness is born in the heart of all things, or that which you call the Akene. And this thing has no birth, and especially has no death. People often struggle, especially in these days, especially artists who desire to create beauty. They often struggle with the beginning of their creative process. Oh, they might have all the conceptual ideas. Somebody wants to write a book, somebody wants to make a painting. They might have all the conceptual ideas. They might talk to others about it. I am going to create this, I am going to do that, I am going to be the mother or the father of this masterpiece that I am going to create. No. What they will never understand, if they continue on that path, is that they are the masterpiece. They are not something from which flows forth the masterpiece. If you accept that all of your creations are completely a part of your own energy, even before you came into the planet, even before you came into any existence, then no time is required to create what you want to create. If you go into a different road, however, and you think you must take from yourself a piece of clay and then mold that, and then that is separate from you, then you are not only deluding yourself, you are also not doing justice to that which you want to create. There are many who are called to be creators of things, but the reason why things do not always start is because they are looking at things from a wrong angle, and they will only end up creating for themselves frustration, not beauty. And even if they somehow manage to mangle through the process of creation, they will end up with a piece that is going to be temporary, and the frustration that lives within it, and the struggle and the hardship and all those things will in the end be felt by those observing it later. You see? So why do you think art is beautiful? Very simple. Because, my beloved divine seekers, the artist and the observer looking at it afterwards are the same. They are both part of consciousness. When somebody wants to be a mental or linear artist, they are thinking of an audience out there. They are not seeing what is right in front or even inside of themselves. Namely, that they are the audience. They are the creation. They are the art, and they are the artist. They are all of these things. Somebody who manages to create that will always reach the energy which was desired. For it won't be a desire, it will simply be an act. I'm sorry to have to speak about the concept of beauty at the moment on such a theoretical level, but it is needed before you can actually start practicing with the concept. Why? Because you are also mangled up in your creation. For instance, I consider the words that I am speaking right now to be a work of art. It is my creation. It is your creation. It is all of creation. That is why I nor any other being like myself, could ever get nervous when having to do this, when having to speak, when having to create, when having to come through. Let's say, why would one be if one is all that is? Why would you ever be nervous when you are going to look into the mirror? You think you are going to be judged maybe by yourself? If that happens, then you are in trouble. Because then once again, you are even separating yourself from yourself. And that is, I would indeed say, the least beautiful creation one can have, when you are not just seeing the world as separate, but also yourself as separate from yourself, and that is judging yourself when you do such a thing. You see? So the Council of Beauty were mainly there in the whole Lemurian paradigm to make people remember this simple fact. The Council of Lemuria saw itself as a representation, which is all of you, as a representation of divinity. That is why only in this year, now we are creating the Divinity Manifest, these things can be brought in. It also saw everything around it and all others around it as divinity. But it was the job of the Council to make sure that these things were not forgotten. And it was the job to do so in the most creative of ways. When you look at governments and parliaments and laws these days, they are very boring. Very, very boring indeed. Yes. They are. Because they are always restricting you. The Lemurian Council, shortly put, was there to expand you. Its job was to allow you, which is you, your job was to allow you and all things around you to expand, to reach infinite levels. I myself was, how shall we say, a spokesperson, a reminder for the Council. That is why it is my honored task to come in now and to speak to all of you. Usually, I did not have the opportunity back then to speak to you directly. That was done by my keeper. She was the go-between, the liaison. That is why it is even strange for me at moments like this to be in a similar room with her, and even though to speak to others. But the Council of the ancient Lemuria was there to allow others to expand. And that is what every work of beauty, my beloved, is really all about, isn't it? It allows you to see your own beauty, and as such, you expand. Expansion into what? Simple. Expansion into joy. The mere act of joy. And that is those sitting over there. The Council of Joy. What does this mean? It means very different things than the things that it means today. Today, joy is seen as something temporal at best, something which only comes when you have the right set of circumstances. And if the right set of circumstances is not there, then you go into the opposite of joy, which is also fear and pain and suffering and everything that would be negative. But In Lemurian times, it was understood that joy is a constant. Joy, like beauty, like love, carries all of the other principles in it. I shall even tell you this: it was impossible, completely impossible, to express one of these principles without the other ones being there. The mouth is thirsty. Returning to joy, an infinite state, also an archaic state. And that is why I can most surely say that none of you here, none of you in this lifetime have ever felt true joy. Much like a thing of beauty, it is an archaic state, which means it runs back and forth through the timeline, which means that once it has been felt once, it will become a constant throughout all that is. Meaning that if you have felt joy, you will never remember that there was anything else. Do you understand? Can I have a drink? Thank you. Thinking of this, what does that mean? Does it mean you have to feel bad now because you have never felt the true joy that can spring forth from a creative heart? No. No. I'm only saying that you have a choice. You have a choice to go on the way you are going on in your life right now, going from moment to moment, one moment being a more positive moment than the other moment, or you can let go of these things. You can say, for once and for all, I need not feel anything else. You are the creator, you have the choice, you do not have to be the beginning, you just have to be the sensation of your creation. Thank you. Do you know what this means? You have to be neither the beginning nor the end, only the sensation of your creation. That is the eighth aspect of the geometry of any creation and any work of art. It means that all you have to do is to experience that which you choose to create, and it will be there. This is what people often forget. Even in Lemuria, especially the older ones, tended to forget this. As they grew older, and especially as Lemuria started to solidify, one often forget that everything came from within. So that means, you know what it means? That means that the state of joy was searched for on the outside, sometimes. This, in Lemuria, was the only dis-ease one could experience. It is a type of complete self-loss, the loss of self-control and self-creation. It was very easily solved, however, and one who was in such a state did not remain in such a state for a very long time, because there was always the reflection of others. When one gets into such a state here, on this earth, at this moment, it has been my finding to see that instead of reflecting the self back to the one who has lost it, the reflection works the other way around. Put a depressed person or a fearful person in a room with a joyful person, and before the day is over, the joyful person will be fearful.
Can it be that the sad one
will be joyful?
Joyful?
Yes, but it's only temporary. the joy that is felt is not real. And that is what I'm trying to get across actually. It is really not real. The joy that is experienced is based on external stimuli. And even though people will think that they are feeling joy because of the joy itself, they are not. Sometimes external stimuli can also be found on the subconscious level. And sometimes the subconscious will be happy that certain parameters are filled in and will give you a state of joy even before you realize what you are joyful about. The subconscious is not archaic at all, but it is a little bit more expanded in the linear time frame. This means that the subconscious has a little bit of foresight. Sometimes the subconscious will know mere hours in advance what might happen in the linear time frame that you are in that moment. It is different from the conscious mind. The conscious mind which does not have any foresight at all, it just believes it has foresight. So sometimes the internal, joyful circumstance can be the result of something that yet needs to happen. And it will always end. So that is why I say that if you put these two people in a room, you will notice that in the end there will be fear or depression, even if a state of joy is at one point being perceived. Do you understand? Thank you.
Thank you.
So, beauty and joy. Joy, as I have explained, being the result of infinite beauty, must therefore also be an infinite paradigm. And that is the only way it can exist. The mind, being a temporal paradigm, cannot create a sensation of joy. Now we are going to talk about these things much more in the coming weeks, when we will be working on that which is called the Freedom Chronicles. We will talk about a state of joy, and what is the illusion of joy, and what is the illusion of love, and what is the illusion of freedom. Because even though you might have worked with the 6 grand illusions, as they have been called, and you might have worked on mastering them, you often think that going to a temporal state of joy or love or freedom means mastering the 6 grand illusions. The illusions that have been spoken of in the Mastering the Grand Illusions series are, as the title says itself, the grand ones. The 3 ones that remain now are the minor illusions. Why minor? Because basically it is very easy to understand what these illusions are all about, and what is true love and true joy and true freedom. So that is why I at this moment will not go too deeply into the concept of joy, because it will be expressed later on. What I want to say about the concept of joy, however, before I go on with the next one, is this. The simplicity of joy again lies in the realization that the act of creation does not have a beginning. Beauty cannot be perceived without joy. Now look at your lives. Look at the lives of those on earth, and look at how much of your life you are really choosing because of a state of joy and not a state of fear. Now you might think that many people, when you do things, are doing things out of joy or out of the desire to help others, but mostly they do these things because they are afraid, fear, of the result when the action is not undertaken. That happens so very often. Many things in your life you are not choosing out of joy. You are choosing them because you think it is either going to be better for you, or for another, or for whomever. But you are not choosing them out of joy, the simple joy of experiencing the creation that you seek. Dolphins, in this case, are good teachers. It is impossible for them to do something out of anything else but joy. Birds, animals, trees, what you would consider the simpler life on earth, is choosing things from joy. Simplicity leads to joy, and joy flows forth from simplicity. Complexity leads to all the other things. So if I want to express the concept of joy, I must talk of simplicity and complexity. What is complexity? Complexity is an action, a thought, a place, a person, an event, or a thing attached to another action, place, person, thought, event, or a thing. That is when things become complex. The real piece of art, the real piece of beauty, cannot possibly be attached to something else. That is when art becomes authentic, is it not? That is when art becomes timeless. Now think in all the attachments that linger in your brain. Can you find a piece of art that is not connected to another thought? It's very difficult. Look at the modern world, the world of media, for instance. What they thrive upon is your attachments. It's very interesting, is it not? Everything that is being created in the world of media is not being created because of joy. It's being created because it can manipulate your attachments and your associations in your brain. So you can be manipulated into acting, doing, buying and choosing whatever it is others want you to do. It's a very interesting concept. The remedy, one asks, is very simple. Recognition of true beauty, of true joy. Going back to Lemuria, one did not devour one creation after the other, and especially not the creation of another. Once the creation was recognized as not being of the self, the sovereign energy life force, it was not experienced, because immediately it was known that these things would not suit the higher self. Again, it was the task of the Council of Joy to make sure that everything that existed was there, was created out of the concept of, again, infinite joy, disassociated from anything else. That means, my beloved seekers and my friends, and this is going to be difficult for you, that especially at the beginning, the Lemurian world could change daily. Now, these days, you are used to seeing things around you, and hopefully they never change. It becomes difficult for people when, having lived in a village for 20 years, let's say, and all of a sudden the street plan changes, or all of a sudden a two-way street becomes a one-way street, or all of a sudden a street is discontinued. It's very difficult for the brain of the human to then latch on to the new attachment that needs to be made. The only reason why it is difficult is because there is still an old attachment present. You understand? So, in Lemuria, often the Council of Joy chose to, let's say, in the modern day term, to press the reset button, as it were, as to keep beauty in existence. The moment it was felt that the society was becoming dependent on that which came before, that which came before ceased to exist. And that is what you were working on. Now, the reason why I am going into such detail, and actually I do not think I will have enough time at this moment to go over everybody, but we will do that in the course of the coming days, obviously. The reason why I am going into such detail is that you must realize that this top life you are all living, this life, is influenced heavily based on the role you were playing back then, in Lemurian times. And since you are now in a state of duality, this may mean that you are either finding that which you were creating then, or the exact opposite. Do you see? That is happening to many often, once they have lived such a life and are now living in the duality version of it. Joy, beauty. Let's talk about love. The third group, sitting over there, the Council of Love. Interesting. What is love? Love is when beauty and joy come together and are experienced from within. There can be no love without beauty. There can be no love without joy. If you look at that group right now, your group right now, you will see that there is a key that still remains to be turned within the boundaries of the human being. If joy and beauty were infinite tachyonic concepts and have been defined as such, then I should say that love even raises or rises above that. Love cannot be called tachyonic. Love cannot be called linear. Love cannot be called mental. Love is the foundation of all of these things. At the same time, love cannot exist without the presence of all the other principles that I have talked about now. Is everybody following so far? Mm-hmm. Okay. Then I shall continue. Maybe you should have said no. Does anybody care to pee?
No. No way.
I like to play the human game. Anyway, love. I said it cannot be called tachyonic. For actually, my beloved, it is love that is the creational force of anything in the universe. if there is a beginning and an end to things, then it is not the observer, and that is where the observer often goes wrong. It is love. Do you understand? Love is what happens when the geometry of the eighth is turned infinity. When it is turned into infinity, then it becomes such a constant that love is recognized immediately. This is the only thing that all things have common in the universe. In the cosmos, be it the cosmos that lives inside of you, or the cosmos that exists outside of you, and it is love. I shall say this: there has never been a conscious being, or a subconscious being, a mental being, who has not been able to reach another being. And the reason for that is love. The reason why so many beings are killing one another is that they don't recognize one another, and when they don't recognize one another and get threatened by each other, they go into fear. And that is when death becomes possible. Death is simply the complete denial of love. The complete and utter denial of it. And it is of course an illusion. So usually when one in these modern times, which you have called them, and other times before that, did die, everybody on the other side, and once they have arrived on the other side, has a good laugh at things. Because then they understand what they have forgotten, and how silly the notion of that forgetting has truly been. Questions are being raised at this point, because it's not the type of discussion one is used to from a being such as myself. Especially not from myself, from Lemuaya, who longs to talk about all things tachyonic and all things photonic and about the way the universe works. But I have told you that I came here today not just to teach, but also to stabilize your portal, the inner portal that has now been created inside of you. How can you stabilize this? By finally, once and for all, understanding the true nature of reality. That is why I am choosing to use easy words this time. I am not choosing to use the spirit technical words. I am just choosing to use the easy ones, so you may understand. But I challenge you, look at yourselves and see how quickly, probably 5 minutes down the road of this talk, you will once again have put these things in a neat little box. And how quickly you will put the box away, so that you may forget it, and the dust might settle on it. It is a challenge not to do that, because of course you do realize this is not the first time that we have talked to each other about this. I have sat in a room like this one with each and every one of you a mere 1,000 years ago, and we have had the exact same discussion that we are having right now. It was the last time the Lemurian Council came back together until now, so that once again might be reminded of these things, you see. Let's get back to love. Love is probably the hardest concept of all to understand, because it has also been the most abused and misused topic that has been flowing around planet Earth in these last few hundreds of years. Love has been a tool for manipulation, a tool for distraction. It has been a tool to pull a cosmic, infinite being into a finite husk by creating desire around the concept of love. And the only reason why desire was created around love is that you were made to believe, were led actually to believe that love was something you had to search for. You had to go in search of, and you had to hunt down, while that has never been the case. You were actually told that your natural state was a fearful state as beings. Why? Because it was a linear state. A state that would in the end self-destruct itself. And that is a poor existence to lead. So love has been the most manipulated energy of geometry, of all. Why was love a part of the Lemurian Council? Very easy. That is the exact reason. Because of where love truly exists. In silence, in stillness, in non-vibration. The appearance of love on the council was the appearance of complete divinity on the council. There were those who sat on the council, most of you, who had other lives as well, who left at the end of the day, who took up their other work, their work within society. And then there were those who sat on the council of love. The other councils, all part of the Lemurian Council, in fact, the other councils were active councils, meaning that they were looking at the outside world, making choices, doing things. Is it my idea, or do you have your eyes closed unless I look at you? Every time I turn my head, I see eyes opening up. Oh my God, he's looking. I shall keep my eyes towards there for them. The Council of Nonsense. We said that together, you know. So anyway, where was I? Love. Exciting and new. Come aboard, we're expecting you. The love boat, yes. Love. Stillness. All the other councils did, at the end of the day, go home. They were active councils, meaning that they made choices. If you want to speak about the heart of the old Lemurian setup, the way the council was set up, then the heart would be the council of love. It was the job of the council of love to be silent. It was the job of the council of love to create the loving platform for those who had, let's say, the active jobs on the council. So, basically put, beloved council of love, back then you were in a state of constant meditation. meaning that all the time that you did reside on the council, and we are speaking countless years here, you did not sleep, you did not eat, you did not breathe, your heart did not beat, you did not move. You made the choice to be the memory of divine love back then. And that is who you were back then. The Council of Love, connected to the Council of Joy and the Council of Beauty, because, and the other councils, because it was the underlying force, the driving force of all the other creations. You see, actions of joy and actions of beauty could not exist without the geometrical pattern of love. And that is why in any creation, the basics of the creation, the one of 8, let's say, is love. Love is easy and difficult at the same time. Let me tell you why. I like to do this. To say, let me tell you why, and then to drink. In hopes of keeping you awake. Love, the most easy and the most difficult. Easy, one would think, because it is a constant. But also difficult, because it is a constant. Difficult, because it is very easily forgotten, because it is too easy. The human mind likes to think. One cannot think about love. There was no problem in Lemuria with love until the fluidity ceased to exist and the human brain was allowed to make associations and to think and to argument about things. Before the brain came along, actually, there were no arguments, because there was no real experience of the concept of linearity. How could there? So it was impossible, literally, to disagree about something. And actually, you shall find that these things still have an effect in your language today. All the negating words, to disagree, to undo, all these words that are now present within your language, that are actually the negative opponent or opposite of the positive word, did not exist until the dual linear brain came along. It also means that the Council of Love was, by their own choice, disbanded at a time a fixed, non-fluid state came along. I shall have to tell you this. Before there was a fixed, non-fluid state in Lemuria, all things literally just flowed along. It was beautiful because there could be no opposition. However, when things became more fixed, more solid, I shall say, a choice was made. And humanity, those on the planet at that point, chose for the experience of duality. Especially those within the council residing here wanted to go into that experience, except for the Council of Love. When that choice was made, the council unfortunately decided to disband itself, to to stop its seat within the Lemurian Council, because they chose not to be there as the opposite of love now came into existence. And that is basically when Lemuria started to change gravely. I have now spoken about love, about joy, and about beauty. Next time when I speak, I shall speak more of these things. I shall continue the process. I ask you then to remember the setup, the way in which you are seated right now. Because I want to continue in the exact geometrical pattern that we are in right now. So remember where you are. And I'm not just talking about this room. Remember where you are, who you are. Remember why you are here. And I would encourage you, when my voice becomes still, to speak about this amongst yourselves. Because the council, my beloved, before these 5 days are over, must speak again. There is a choice that needs to be made, and the choice, simply put, is going to be this. Everything that happened, did it have a reason? Yes or no?
Yes.
Doesn't have to be made right now. And if it did have a reason, was it purposeful? And if it was or wasn't purposeful, must things be reset? Yes or no? That is the question. You will see that if you discover more about your functions and your tasks within that council, how the choice will have to be made. After that, you will step through the portal that has been activated and once again become a complete part of your own inner world. Then you will see that the inner world and the outer world are exactly alike. I honor you. I thank you for hearing these words, and I thank you for allowing your souls to be here at the exact right time. As others would say, I am in love with you. And of course, how could one not be in love with oneself? We shall speak again very shortly. Namaste. And so it be.
Sana ki I would like to share with you an experience I had with the rivers of sun. It's been a few weeks ago, but it was a very profound experience and one that has stayed with me for, well, until now. It started with me going through that particular session of the Lemurian Councils, remember now, the rivers of sun, and really focusing on the practice of the 5 breaths exercises that Lemurian Council explained, with focusing on the geotrinities of Akeda, Akeba, Akeva, Akera, and Akoka. And I did so for a number of days in a row, for quite consistently, and just really focusing on the geotrinity and on the feeling that would invoke in each quadrant. And it was kind of it's just nothing much seemed to happen, and it was like these geotrinities there would lose their shape and would be completely out of shape and not really there and unfocused and falling apart, and just, but I kept practicing, and then so one day I was looking outside in our beautiful surroundings. As you can see, it's just all wonderful and green here, and so I was looking outside, remembering the exercise and breathing in the Akeda on the right quadrant. And as I did, all of a sudden there was this golden pyramid. There was the geotrinity very strongly, a perfect triangle with a point in that formed the pyramid, the triangular pyramid, and it was just there very strongly, the Akeda, and the feeling that washed over me with that geotrinity kind of standing in my first quadrant. That was quite amazing. But what happened then, as I went to the Akeba, the same happened, and in a very rapid succession, all these geotrinities, they just were there as glowing pyramids. I can't describe it any other way. They were very strong, but the most interesting thing was that it felt like it enveloped my whole head chakra with a feeling of utter serenity and peacefulness, and there was just no space for any thoughts to come in. So that on its own was pretty interesting, because from that moment on, those 4 geotrinities, I can invoke them very easily now, and they're just there, and the feeling that comes with that is just there. So for me, those that exercise, of course, that's just one of all the amazing ascension exercises we are being taught. But that helped me very much to keep my focus on these exercises as much as I possibly can. Because also what happened after that, I was at the dinner table, I was telling the Patasangha about my experience. And at that moment, all those geotrinities, there were new geotrinities unfolding from within those, and I could kind of understand how the rivers of sun work, on a geometrical level, at least, because I could kind of see that unfolding, and yeah, it's very hard to describe, because it was more like a feeling, but it was also very, very like a visual movie that was like a, you know, you have these digital animations, like it looked almost like that. It was very colorful, and it kept flowing, and but also unfolded from there was that when I looked at anything that supposedly is outside of me, I started to understand how everything is connected, and how everything could easily be something different. It doesn't necessarily have to be, well, a tree doesn't have to be a tree just because we define it as such. And in that moment, it was just like I understood a whole lot of things from that one exercise that I've kept practicing for quite a consistent time. And but as I said earlier, the good thing is it just, all those visuals I've been given, I can very easily see them again, and it's all there. The feeling is there again, and so I can only encourage anyone to practice all of these exercises we are given as much as you possibly can. I mean, I know for myself there is much room for improvement, but I just wanted to share with you how profound the profound effects of just this one exercise can have, and expands if you keep your focus on that. So I hope that gives you something to ponder and to practice as well. Takaya for listening. Sanaki.
Sanake, this is the Lemuaya San, and this is my first Ascension Journal on the portal for our Ascension Journals on Imzaia World, and I'm very excited to be connecting with you. I have not done this before, ever, so it's pretty new experience for me. I am very good at writing, and I usually express myself that way, but what I really want to do is speak from the heart and just say that I love you. I'm so happy that you're here. It's going to be an amazing journey together for me since the day I went to a seminar with Lemuaya San, and then not too long after, setting a gravity point to mark my choice for ascension in Tintagel, UK, many years ago, with the Lemuaya San and the Padasanka Barak Solar San. I have never looked back. There have been some fits and starts and bumps and all kinds of things along the way, as is with most students starting out, because this is a very big change. You would not be here if you did not know that. And it's the most amazing change ever to go through, to let go of everything that is not true and become the whole truth of who you are. And not only that, but to do that and in service to others and the whole, which really floats my boat. I think most of us, if we were here at some level, have had that calling inside for a very long time. Maybe not for everybody, but that we really, really know inside, even if it needs a little bit of support and guidance to actually step on this path. But there is that calling, and once you have that, then it's time to go. So I want to welcome everyone here, and I want to tell you how incredibly honored I am, and how incredible this journey is in the study of the Pa, and to be here studying with the Lemuaya San and the Ascended Life with the Padasanka, and also the other students. We have lovely grounds here on our Ascension Training Center in Zealand, and I cannot imagine any other way to be. One of the things I've been pondering, three things actually that kind of came to my mind recently as I was pondering this, is one time Lemuaya San shared with me that uplifting positivity and joy will get you far on your ascension path. And I typically am that, but then there are times when I'm not. And that's personality and ego and mind. So I'm going to keep that in my awareness as I continue to do these ascension journals. And then the other one is to basically, the Lemuaya San again has told us that the only mistake that an ascension student makes is a lack of continuity and consistency. So what we're trained to do, both in letting go of ego, mind, and personality, and stepping into the truth of who we are through the study of the Pa and all the wonderful videos and lessons and sharing on social media and all of that by Lemuaya San and Ascended Life, and practicing that, putting that into practice and making it real. We do need to be consistent and continuous about that. So my promise and commitment to everyone is to focus on that, to up the ante, so to speak, a little bit, or not even a little bit, but to make that my reality so that I can be of the best service to you and to others that I possibly can be. I'm honored. I cannot imagine anything else other than this incredible, amazing journey, and I love you. Thank you, Sanake.
Sanaki, I would like to start with expressing my gratitude for this opportunity to share my journey of ascension with all of you, my fellow students. I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to remember truth, Ra, in every moment, and that all of this is always accessible for all of us. My biggest focus at the moment is that we are one, that life force is running through us, making our hearts beat, connecting us to our environment at all times, basically connects us to all that is. I've noticed that I still have parts, expressions of myself that have been tucked away deeply in mental energy, parts that have felt separate, that were not able yet to understand that being separate from the whole is something that is actually not even possible. Consciousness is always one, and that is the only way that reality, which then also means all beings in it, even have the opportunity to exist. So that being the case, then this idea of separation basically is just an idea, which we are able to override when we apply the right focus with consistency and continuity. Sorry. Which will then restore our energies again in the way that they were meant in their original state. What helps me a lot is a sentence in one of the teachings from the Lemuaya San, pan-causal thinking, to be precise, which says, there is no world and there is no you. Experience a world. This helps me to go beyond the mental expression and experiences, and it takes me back every time to my point of origin, the heart, which gives me again the opportunity to experience the truth instead of getting stuck in any kind of mental construct. It really is a space that we have available to us at every moment and can access at all time, just by making the choice to, instead of being here, just being here again. Because that also is the place anyway where everything is already pouring out of anyhow. Yeah, I think I will keep it short for this first upload, but I still want to share that I'm really looking forward to see way more posts here from my fellow students, so that will enable us to take this journey together, to really remember the way of the heart and the truth of what is real. Tachyonic.
Lemuaya Imzaia to all. It's so lovely to connect to you in this way. I would therefore like to start with expressing my gratitude for this space that has been created, and a place where we can come together intimately, where we can share our heart, where we can share what matters to us and what we are focusing on. And I'm sure that everyone's perspective will help, and that we can assist each other, and that we can grow together. I would like to start with sharing the exercise I like to work with the most, that is the rivers of San, and then especially in combination with the sentences that Lemuaya San recently shared on Facebook. It's actually funny how that works sometimes, because these sentences had such an impact on me, while if I then listen back to the teachings, then they actually were already in there too. But the sentences, as they were worded in the Facebook post, are really helpful for me. So that's Akeda, this is the only moment. Akeba, the inside and the outside are the same. Akeva, all beings are one. Akera, every point in reality is the same and unique. And then Nagoka. If you just look at all of those sentences on their own and combined, that of course helps tremendously with the ascension perspective to keep that where it needs to be. And I have to say that especially also the sentence that goes with Akeda, this is the only moment, and then if I connect that to the quote that Yeshua-san recently spoke about in the Imzaia stream, may you always remember to begin again, that actually has been a favorite of mine ever since it came out for the first time, because it just really helps me to jump out of the after effects sometimes of, let's say, if I've dropped out of the heart space into Savok, personality tends to stick to with emotions around that, and this sentence really then helps me to lift myself out of that and just go back to the heart space. And recently, also because of all of the sessions that have been re-uploaded, like the Mastering the Grand Illusion series and the Whole Meaning of Life seminar, and now the first pieces of Solaris, a lot in there, of course, is also about unification, being one with all that is. And that's something that, like, only recently I was really looking at how can I ensure more consistency, more continuity. And I believe that the focus on that, constantly being aware of the fact that I am one with everything that is around me, and making the infinity sign and just thinking about it as often as I can, is going to assist me to anchor what I would call the ascension perspective within me stronger. So that's what I'm really doing at the moment. And I look forward to giving you an update about how it's going soon. And I look forward to your entries as well, and to communicating, and to making this place really a place of compassion, of growth together. Much love. Ohami. Dakaya.
Lemuaya y Imzaia. I am Lemuaya San, and I want to share this video so that we can connect with each other and share our ascension journals, learn from it, discuss it. Making this video made me very nervous. It's the first time I'm doing this, so a little thought came up. How I'm gonna do this, how I'm gonna do that. So it took me a while to overcome that, but that's the whole journey. When a thought comes in, don't identify with it, and just choose love, joy and freedom in that moment and overcome that thought. It's all based on ego, mind, personality construct. So that's why I'm now so proud to make this video. And actually, I like it. So it's a really good tool to connect with all of you. And I'm really looking forward to see how you deal with all daily situations. So yes, looking forward to all of you. Takaya. See you soon. Sanake, making another video on the topic how I felt after the first video. A lot of doubt, a lot of insecurity. So how did I change it? Actually, very simple with the 6 simplicities. Be here now. It's the only moment. It's the only now moment. Exchange can only come from the heart space. I know this personality doesn't like this. That's why I eager to go for it. Because ascension is real, and I wanna make it happen for everyone on this planet, that everyone can feel the love and the joy and the freedom, and also understand how it entails. You create your own reality, it's true. I can go and stay into that fear and into that security, but that's not what we learn. You really have to see the inverted geometry and then change it from the heart, turn it around. So yes, it's quite a journey, but I love it. Why? Because I don't want to be in a mental space or in the ego mind personality. I want to overcome everything. I want to feel the love and be loved. That's the only true. Love is the truth. So yes, I'm really glad I did it, and I'm really glad that we all can share our experiences together. So yes, Takaya.
I'm just quickly popping in to share my excitement and my joy about what's happening inside me after listening to yesterday's Imzaia stream by Cassandra's beautiful Return to Innocence. Of course, it was very much about the unification I spoke of in my previous video, but also at some point he spoke about where we would return when we would ascend, and that we would realize that everything from that moment forward was like loops of time created. And of course we've always heard that what we have stored as our past wasn't real, but it's like yesterday it hit and I understood. Yeah, that's it. I understood it. Until then, it has been a theory, and yesterday I could really sense that that is the case. So much that later, when I was in my room on my own, I was just laughing out loud, like, yeah, almost the craziness of believing all of these things, all of these lies. So yeah, I just quickly wanted to share that with you. And then furthermore, in that same video, at some point, the Lemuaya speaks about those that have made the choices and now have all this free time on their hand. And I sit next to him and I say, wow, you know, I make a remark about not having that much free time, and that's like still a feeling I often have, like that it's busy and that there's not enough time to do all the things I want to do. And then if I put that with what was shared in yesterday's sessions, then that's got to go out of the window too. So yeah, you know, I'm just really excited about it all, and I just wanted to quickly share this with you. I hope that you all have a beautiful, beloved day, and I see you soon.
Sanake, I just wanted to take this moment to express my gratitude to you, Lemuaya San, for creating these live streams every single evening. They have become invaluable to me, and I'm sure to everybody, to all my fellow students here. And if they're invaluable to us, I can only imagine what they must mean for all of you out there who are not in daily contact with other students or with ascended life in a way that we are. So for me, these are, I can see these moments where we do come together as students also here, because during the day we all have our different tasks, and it's not always possible really to connect all together in this way. So to have that moment in the evening where we know this is our moment, where we connect together, where we listen to a teaching, where we have these really metaphysical moments, although of course nothing in our life is not connected to our ascension path, but it is a focus point for us that really is of great importance. So I just wanted to really say a big takaya to you, Lemuaya San, for taking the effort to put these videos together, to make sure they're online every single evening, for our students to have that moment of shared connection, shared contact in a very metaphysical way. Takaya. Sanake.
Sanake. Just a little moment to share my gratitude towards Ascended Life and all the students on the bar. I feel a lot of love and joy in this moment. Love, because that's the being who we are. If we be here now and see that every moment is a new moment, you feel the love all around you. You are love. And joy, ba, it brings me stillness. It's a lot of just peaceful stillness from the inside. I love being on the spa. I wish you all a very wonderful day, and hope very soon to connect with you all, because after all, that's all what matters. Connection, become a unity. Takaya.
Honole I Imzaia. This is the Lemuaya San, and I'm here with my second Ascension Journal. I am thrilled and honored to connect with you. This is new to do journals this way through video for all of us here, and especially I have never done this. I don't think I've been on camera except for maybe once. Anyway, it's just a great experience, and I am feeling that this is just going to really take off, and I'm honored to be able to connect with people all over the world on our ascension journey, sharing what we're learning, maybe what we're having a little difficulty with, and we can help each other out, and all of those things. Awesome stories, anything goes. And we make ascension real together, and that's exciting. So what I wanted to share was, having done that, which was like a big breakthrough for me to do that in the first place, and the feelings were incredible. Afterwards was very interesting to observe, where, for instance, the next day or two, Lemuaya San had posted all kinds of quotes and things on social media, and you know, those of us who have been plugged into social media every day, we're focusing on all of those and responding. But in those 2 days after I made the video, everything that she posted seemed to pour out of me, and I poured out of my heart. So coming from the inside out, instead of, you know, seeing something on a computer screen, which then would have a response. So that's pretty exciting, and I just wanted to share that. It made me also think, the 2 days, there were some ups and downs a little bit, trigger here or there, but for the most part, it was pretty positive. A change for me, and the change that I wanted to make. So I thank you for that. But I want to read 2 quotes today, because one of the things that Lemuaya shared was this, and it really had a big impact. When starting from a place of love, consciousness exists in all points of awareness within this hologram, and all energy and matter in it. Start with love. How simple is that? That's really the simplicity of everything. All is love. Love is all. Start with love. We don't have to make a big deal of things. We have ego, mind, and personality operating, but if we go to the heart space, start there. If we're not in the heart space, we can unpack what's going on, and we can easily get back in. It's simple. It's the ego, mind, and personality that makes it a big deal and that thinks it's difficult, and it's not at all. So I just wanted to share that with you, because that's going to be on my mirror, basically. Scotch tape to my mirror, and actually, I was going to say burned, but not burned, but embedded in my heart and everything that I do going forward. I love these videos because I get to make commitments to myself by making them to you. The other thing that I wanted to share was a quote from the Cosmic 12 that has been around for a while in the study of vibration, and it really always had an impact on me. But when feeling how good it felt after doing the first video, and where I think we'll be headed with this and what's possible, and it really does, for all of us, have to do to commitment. So if we're here studying ascension, whether we're here on these beautiful Ascension Training Center grounds, as you can see by the tree behind me, or somewhere around the world online studying, we're here together, and all we need to do is remember this quote, and it just really just, when I thought that if I looked it up, because I said, I think this, I don't remember exactly the words, but I think this has something to do with how incredible I feel, so I want to share it with you for that reason, okay? All you need to achieve resolution with regards to anything is your own belief in its resolvability, indeed, the creative power of your decisiveness, the unwavering power of consciousness, and in the end, simply knowing it is so. That is an incredible quote, and I'll say it just one more time, and you can find it in the website, under quotes in Study of Vibration. All you need to achieve resolution with regards to anything is your own belief in its resolvability, indeed, the creative power of your decisiveness, the unwavering power of consciousness, and in the end, perhaps simply knowing it is so. So I wanted to leave you with that, to share that I'm honored and I love you, and I'm going to keep going, and I will continue to share. And I feel really good about everything, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.